our meeting. Okay, so let me welcome you on our next SIG Core meeting. Today, I will be your moderator, and Łukasz Górnicki will take the notes. On our agenda, right today, we have two topics from Piotr Bochiński. Both of them will be about release. One is about announcing current release 0.8, and next one, the 0.9 scope. After that, Adam Szczecówka will present the new Octopus framework, which is basically the Helm test on storage. And after all, I will do the triage board from SIG Core project. We do not have any items on our committee slots, so we just remove it. And at the end of the meeting, standard Q&A session for all of us. So, PV, you can start with your first topic.
Okay, let me share my screen. 1 second. You need to unshare. Okay,
Done.
Now I can share. Okay, so we do not have release yet, but we have release candidate. 0.8 release candidate 1 is there and will be promoted to release soon. I hope today. Jose, is it right? Or tomorrow?
Sorry,
we don't.
tomorrow. We
tomorrow.
still have 2 bugs that are going to be cherry-picked to this, so we expect the final release tomorrow.
Good. So I will go maybe directly to the release notes. We have release notes as a pull request in the website repository. You can check that. This will be a little bit adjusted to the scope we have in the release, but the highlights are already there. We worked on, as promised, on the Knative. It is now full support for Knative, but still it is not default event backend for in Kyma. The Knative, you still have to enable it with feature toggle. We enabled backup. We use Heptio-Arc, which is renamed to Valero. Maybe it's the name you know it under. And we introduced the backup for our resources and also for customer workload. We have 2 set of backups that you can enable in Kyma. The third point actually is removed from the scope, will be part of the next release because we did it last minute and it's not in the release candidate. We removed also Minikube constraints, so right now you can use any Minikube version above the current supported one. It's not complaining, the installer, local installer. We have also a lot of improvements in application connector. We added certificate revocation and renewal to the application connector, so we also improve security. We replaced also OKLog with Loki. The first iteration of available. So this is the first release when Loki is available. It's not full access, full integration. We still do not have easy way to see the interface from the UI. You need to do some port forwarding, but we will work on that on the next release. But Loki is much cooler solution than OKLog, which is deprecated. It's not not continued project. We also introduced something to improve security in the cluster. Right now we have built in a Kyma developer role, which is meant to be given to developers that can work on single namespace. So far we had admins and viewers. Admin could change whatever settings in the entire cluster, has a cluster administrator role. Kyma developer is limited to the namespace, so we can play with the permissions in the way that one developer can do something in the stage namespace and another in the production namespace, which is something that you would like to work on in production. And we had several improvements in the UI, and all the views are not now SAP Fiori compliant, so we have the same look and feel. Details are there. We also worked on Asset Store, but we will see more about Asset Store appliance in the next release. This is about the current release, 0.8, which will be released, as Jose said, tomorrow. But we already started work on the next release, which is 0.9. I do not have blog post yet. I will work on that. I have maybe couple of highlights. I will show it here. So in 0.9, which will be in 4 weeks available, we will have Knative integration with an eventing implemented on top of Knative as a default, so no longer feature toggle. We will also migrate to Istio 1.1, and we will enable mutual TLS by default. This is a really big change. We also want to refactor gateway for application connector, which is going through Nginx right now to use Istio Ingress Gateway. So we will have probably only one load balancer required for next release of Kyma. We will also work further on Asset Store, and for documentation and application registry assets, it will be used as a default solution. And Asset Store is one of the places where we plan to improve a lot of functionalities. About upgrade, backup, and restore. As I mentioned before we started the recording, upgrade is already possible, so you can upgrade version 0.7 to 0.8. We will describe it. It's not visible right now in the release notes. I need to add it, some instruction how to do that. I did it with release candidate 1, and it works with some issues we will describe. So there will be some manual steps you need to make in order to preserve previous, for example, application connections, but it is possible with limited number of manual steps. And for backup and restore, we also will improve our tests. So each component will have some tests that will verify how it behaves after backup. So when you make a backup, then you restore it, the content of the backup, and we will check how different components behave on that to make sure that after upgrade or emergency restore, we will have full functional cluster. We will also work on the security. For example, Tiller will be secured, so Helm access will be limited only to the components that should have the access, like Helm broker or installer. We will also improve security in the service catalog. We will enable TLS and connection to brokers, and we will secure NATs to make our solution more secure. Other improvements in UI, better mobile view. We will have also modal micro frontends. As mentioned before, Loki will be fully integrated, so we can have some views in the Grafana that will combine metrics and logs together thanks to Loki. And we will also improve a couple of features of application connectivity. That's the big points. I will produce some blog posts soon, as before, and you will see details in the blog posts. That's just the teaser. Thank you. That's all.
Great. Thank you very much, QB. And one thing I forget to say at the beginning, please add yourself under the attendees list if you want to be there. And now it's time for Adam Szczecówka to describe the overview of the Octopus.
Okay. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you can
Yeah,
see.
we already can see your screen.
Okay, so I would like to give you a short introduction to the Octopus. Octopus is the test runner for acceptance test, but I like to think about it as a Helm test on steroids, as Mateusz previously mentioned. And as you probably know, we are using Helm test in the Kyma, but it has some limitations. So we'd like to address those limitations creating Octopus. So here you can find a list of additional features. For example, selective testing. Will be very useful for local development when you want to specify which tests you want to execute. For example, you are interested only in tests for service catalog, so execute only those tests. And next feature is automatic retries on failed tests. So this is some kind of remedy for flaky tests. Currently, when we run all integration tests, if even only one failed, we have to create the new cluster and run again all tests and to get green pull requests and to be able to merge that. So we would like to add such feature that you can specify that you accept, for example, that test can fail one time and then retry it. And next feature is running tests multiple times. So for example, you develop a new test and you want to check if it is stable. So you should be able to execute it very easily thanks to Octopus. And last but not least, full support for concurrent testing. So currently, we execute our test one after another. And in Octopus, we would like to execute them concurrently, and would like to add possibility for developers to specify how many concurrent tests should be executed at the same time. In the Octopus, we have already defined our custom resources, and you can find it in the docs. Here you can learn that Octopus is working on two custom resource definitions. First one is a test definition, which specified which pod you want to execute as a test. And the second one is the cluster test suite, which define a suite of tests to execute and how to execute them. So let's have a look on that CRDs. So here we have the sample test definition. The most important thing is which image you want to execute and which command you want to execute. So here you can see that it is very simple. Below that, you can see other parameters that you can specify. Some of them, it's not. Some of that features is not yet implemented. So, for example, in the API, you can find the skip flag, but this feature is not yet implemented. When we go to the cluster test suite, you can learn how to define which test and how to execute them. Here you can see the simple cluster test suite. We just execute all of them, but later you can also specify which tests you want to execute, what is the timeout for the whole suite, what is the concurrency level, and so on. And we also have in the documentation very simple tutorial which show you how these two CRDs cooperate together. And currently, I would like to show you on the live the same scenario. So at the beginning, I have to create these two custom resources, so test definition and test suite. So currently, I'm in the Octopus directory, and we have convenient command make install that applies sample configuration, and we defined here test definition and also test suite. Here you can see our test suite, nothing very fancy right now. In a moment, I'm execute or I run Octopus, and what you should expect. So we are expecting that the status of the suite will be modified, and here you probably will see the testing pods that are created. So let's have a look what will happen. Here we just execute go run. As you can see, testing pod was created. It was very easy because we just print working directory in that pod, so it completed very quickly. And here you can see the status of the suite. We can see that the whole suite has succeeded status, and also we can learn about the details for every test execution. So we know that test example was executed in the namespace default. Its status is also succeeded, and we have also detailed information about the concrete execution, which pod was created, what is the current phase of the pod. We have also starting time, and we also can learn how much time it takes to execute the whole suite. On the left hand side, you can see the output from the our Octopus controller. So at the beginning, it initialized suite, then it let us know that testing pod was created, and at the end, it just printed that do nothing, suite is finished. And what's next? Currently, we have implemented a very simple scenario. So we execute all tests, and we execute all of them at the same time because it was the simple solution. But of course, we plan to improve that. So on the Octopus, you can find some issues which we want to plan in the near future. For example, we want to implement timeout, so you can define on the test or on the whole suite the timeout, and after that it should be interrupted. We want to add validation for CRDs. We want to add possibility to mark this as skip, so you do not have to edit your Docker image and skip it inside, but it will be possible to do it on the custom resource level. And the most important thing is here, so improving scheduling, so take into account the concurrency level, as also disabling concurrency. Next one is to allow to specify max retries, so this is the remedy for the flaky test. Yeah, and implement selective testing that you can specify by providing test name or labels for the test. So we would like to encourage all of you to contribute, and if you want to learn more about the Octopus or ask questions, please use us our channel. No surprise, it is Octopus. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. It was super cool. So now let's go to the last action of our agenda. Let me share my screen. Which one? It should. Okay, you already should see the meeting notes. It's right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's go to the ZenHub board. And right now we will review our task. We'll go from the right to left side. And we can start with the periodic job that check if values. Let me load it. Okay. To check if values YAM use up-to-date Kyma components version. And I know that right now this solution is already merged. So it's already completed and it's waiting to accept by our POs. Second one, in the review column is the proposal about the future introduction to our Kyma. I tried to reach Ahmed about the status of this proposal. Right now we have the pull request, but it's not merged and nothing is on this pull request. So I will try to get more information about it and close it or ping someone who need to work on it. Maybe someone on the call already knows something on this.
We should have maybe Stalebot that is closing that this pull request or issue. Is this?
So
Oh.
Stalebot already, Stalebot noticed it already, but I think there's somebody added questions, so
okay.
Stalebot backed.
Yeah,
But
right
anyway,
now.
Ahmed is moderator for next Core SIG, so he will.
Yeah.
Transfer. Okay.
He will need
Transfer,
to
I
do
guess.
that. Yeah, he will need to deal with that. Right now, it's quite outdated, I think so. So let me leave it as it is in the review column. Okay, the next one is about the refactor release process improvements proposal. This one was created by Christian. I already talked with him, and right now it's almost done, the decision itself, but it needs to wait for some con proposal. I will show you the ticket here. It's provide the proposal that allows editing components and its version in the chart in the same pull request. And those two proposals are somehow
Contradicting.
Yeah.
overlapping.
Some
And
information about that. We will take it. That proposal will be, let's say, prepared in the next 3-4 weeks. But it's planned for that release.
exactly.
Then we can back to that comparison of those two guys in 1 month. To be honest.
True. So it's scheduled for this release, and after that we can somehow compare those two proposals.
And
So
pick up the solution and then create a tickets to change it, right?
exactly. So because of that, I just move it to the blocked section. Next one is about provide strategy for updating Pro cluster. Right now, I saw that is in the CI/CD backlog. I talked with the Daniel, and I think that it shouldn't have the SIG core label right now. It's basically implementation, and it's only about the area CI. So I
Agree.
just remove it from here, so we'll not track it. And same question I have for our task in the TD columns, because we already can see that have a lot of tasks from CI/CD backlog. And more or less, they are not about the proposal, but implementation stuff, like, require code owners and status check for their branches and then branch. And I think that all of them should be unassigned from the SIG core, and under SIG core, we should leave only the proposal. What do you think, guys?
I agree. If it's a proposal about the CI deployment, then it could be here.
Yeah.
If needed, but if
So
there is
let's go
already a
quickly,
task,
through them. Yes. So this one is obvious. Yeah. So
It's even a bug, so
yeah. So
it shouldn't
this
be
one
here.
can be removed.
Okay. This one is some kind of the enhancement, is define process of adding new secret to the PRAO. Adam, could you say if it should start with the implementation or with the proposal?
Yeah, I think some proposal should be prepared beforehand.
Okay, so it could be
This one, yeah.
Oh,
Leave
okay.
it here.
maybe change already the name, define proposal.
Okay, can I do that in this view? Okay, I will do that on the GitHub network. Okay, view it here.
Define proposal about a process.
Okay,
that's good.
Nice. And the
you added articles.
yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay, possibility to define Kubernetes version for provisioning scripts. What is really about? I think this is basically about the implementation itself. It's somehow the enhancement for our scripts to unify the way how
To pick up the Kubernetes version, right? Because right now it's, I guess, hard-coded.
Yeah, we have a lot of scripts where we can decouple the version there, so it should be somehow unified. How we move the
and it's this
and it should be
CI
in
area,
the,
or
yeah, I think it should be there. So it's CI CD backlog. Okay. Move. Subfolder. Move to.
This is refactoring. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And already I see that is somehow ticket for it. Let me check that. Okay, and I
Okay,
think
but
that's
then it's not a ticket for us, right?
Yeah, it's already not even merged, so I will remove the SIG core and ping Carolina about it. Okay. Kyma integration. Integration between a machine investigate primitive VMs. So
We do
this
not need
one,
to do that investigation in SIG core, so it can go to CI/CD.
okay, great. Label removed. Add Kyma deprovisioning plan. Wow,
Also.
not our case. Oh, it's making really clean right now. Decision for unification or valid. Yeah, this one is already merged. It was created by Michał Chudy. And let me open it on GitHub. And I think that this one should be already in closed column.
Yeah, definitely. So the proposal is merged and agreed.
Yeah.
It was just to fulfill the process. So just move it to
All right.
closed. We just
Close
need
it.
to now implement it.
Yeah, and probably be gathered for next release.
Okay, and that guy we already discussed, right?
Yeah, and it will be in our
Mhm.
next. Great, because we already have really clean CD columns.
Then we need to focus on these two items, yeah? this
That's our goal right now.
I think. Okay, go back. This one, I don't know if we can ping someone about it. Because that will be secret.
Is someone creating this proposal? Adam is creating this proposal, or?
But which one? You mean about the
I already
secrets?
opened it.
No,
Yeah,
no. This I'm yeah. Actually,
About one PR?
not this.
One PR?
Yes, one PR, not this one.
Yes,
PR.
there is, let's say, there is already some ideas how to do that, but we plan it for this upcoming 2 sprints to finalize the proposal.
Okay.
But we are not working on that right now, right?
Yeah,
But when we will start, I understand that we can invite you, PB, to the discussion as well, because...
Yeah, I'm interested in reviewing that.
Okay, that's good.
Great, that's good. So maybe I will just CC you here, yeah?
Now I'm afraid.
Don't be.
Okay,
That it could take longer.
so let me close that board and go to the last but not least item on our agenda is the Q&A. Any one, do you have some questions, feedback, concerns, anything?
I have maybe some proposal. Should we maybe have some discussion next time, because our meetings are pretty short and usually we finish in half an hour. Right now we cleaned up the board, so it will be even shorter. I would like to have some discussions, like for example these proposals we discussed about the consistency, the same tooling, maybe some other ideas. Maybe we should use that time to really discuss in the round that people interested in this topic. I'm just asking, what do you think about that? Yeah, so to have one topic for real brainstorming discussion, how to move forward some areas.
I mean, I like it.
I mean, but we need to, of course, have it in the agenda up front.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and also
so what-
invite some people to have the really good discussion about it.
Then it's let's say we can decide that it's up to the author of the topic who should be invited as well, besides the all other members that will join.
And who will be responsible for
I was
this
thinking
topic?
more about the preparation for such proposal. Yeah, so maybe this would be nice to have to gather some ideas. What we need to prepare. So right now, this proposal about having one pull request against having a separate repository for charts, how we can improve our developer experience. Maybe should we have some discussion? Maybe there will be third proposal, maybe third idea, how to really make developers' life easier and shorten time of reviews or.
Yes, and besides that, PB, I will also add that I've just realized that we somehow missing the documentation how the development process looks like in Kyma. That we know that for example, we have two pull requests way or one. Maybe we should describe it somewhere as well, because it's when we'll decide, let's say, to improve that, maybe we should also document that a bit. Not only about how to run Kyma, but how to develop in Kyma with some insights, right? That what you need to take care if you upgrade the component. What you need to do, right? And
yeah, if you write these steps, it can, you can understand that this is maybe not the most straightforward process you can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like your idea to use the time to talk really about some of the things.
So I also agree, and so there's agreement from two leaders of the SIG. Mateusz, what do you think? I probably
Yeah.
add it to action item so we can discuss it further, how to put it
So
on the
yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, I'm also in, but it's required from us to have this topic and also someone to be a moderator on it. So maybe, because what kind of topics you want to discuss at the first meeting and who will drive it? Because with that, we cannot start it even.
For me, for example, this introduction to these two different concepts of dealing with pull requests is maybe this is anyway on the SIG plate because this is in our backlog.
Yep.
Maybe before we write some proposals, we should just talk about that different ideas, concepts.
Okay. So I think that we can start with the first one, the pull request proposal, and gather people interested in it. So yeah, it's
just maybe the way to move it forward, because we have this proposal for a long time. Another one waiting for being written, and yeah, nothing has changed for the last 2 months, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
then maybe I will try to speed up with Adam about that pull request to just put what we already know how to do that without POC, because we plan to also do a short POC, and we can just talk about the concept. If we see some side effects and so on about those solutions, then we can already talk about that, right?
For me, it's about also the final vision, how we see this monorepo, how we see the work releasing, how we see backporting, maybe some bugs. This is a broader topic, and maybe we need just to discuss the full picture and different aspects. For me, it's really essential to make up our heads how we want to work in a year, for example. So this is more not about solving temporary problems with someone just forgot to bump the image of the component. This is and release is broken because of that. This is a temporary problem, but how we will see the process of development releasing in the future, in a year. Do we want to still have monorepo or not? What is good, what is bad, what are the pain points, and how we want to solve it in the long term. This is, I think, the best place to discuss that thing. Yeah. So we are a SIG core. Yeah. So.
So the
that's one.
And it's in the action items.
That's great.
So the other thing I would add to, guess feedback, I think that we should rethink the structure of the meeting and move actually questions and feedback to the first item, because that's the main point of the core SIG, to actually be for the community. Because as you, for example, notice, I just noticed that Chris mentioned that he's on the call, but only until 3:30, and I know that he's from the community, and maybe he had some questions and we were not here to answer them because we were talking about other items. But at the end, I think the question and feedback is the most important. At least that's how I see it also in other SIGs when I join them from the Kubernetes. They first check the audience, who's in the audience, and before they jump into their topics, they actually ask how they can help. Then
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a good idea.
I think we can have this point twice, at the beginning and at the end. Maybe there are some additional questions in the end. Yeah. Also, so I would start with that, and at the end we can also ask again, because maybe some question will come during the meeting.
I would have two questions if you're interested.
Oh yes,
I was just waiting.
Great.
Okay, so I'm also with Chris working for an economy, so we are more now on the user side of Kyma, and we are currently trying to get it productive for one of our customers. And I have now two questions. So the first one is I'm really looking forward to test the upgradability from 07 to 08. My question would be, will there be any downtime, or is there any downtime we need to expect from the Kyma upgrade itself, or should it be zero downtime?
So the procedure is that we have this rolling update from Helm, so it shouldn't be the downtime, but the problem is that some components are not fully automated. Not all the components are automatically updated immediately. So to be precise, for example, if you have some application created and connection to the application gateway is refactored, renamed, and some changes were introduced in 0.8, and there is manual step required to enable connection from a Kyma cluster to your external application. It will be mentioned in the migration guide, but it's not that it will be fully automatic.
It's worth to mention that it's the thing between 0.7 and 0.8 only, that thing. But overall, all of the components are, as PB said, packaged by Helm. And by default, we write those charts in the way that if the deployments are upgraded, the services should be available. That means zero downtime, right? That all of the pods will be restarted, and that by design should be like that. We still need to test it a bit and adjust some of the charts if it's not the case. But overall, it should be zero downtime, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah, I will paste on the SIG core chat right now the command to if you want to test and be our beta tester. I would appreciate that. 1 second. I just will paste the
well,
thing.
let's say for the application connector, I don't see that much problem. It's more about, let's say, Istio components and all of this stuff. So because we would like to have some really high available services there hosted, that really needs to be up. So, but we can just, because we already have set up our performance tests and all of this stuff, so I will just more or less do a smooth performance test through the upgrade and just check the results.
So I did today on my cluster the upgrade to this 0.0 release candidate with the commands I pasted right now in the core chat. So you can maybe, if you're sharing screen. So you have kubectl apply new installer, and you then label this custom resource with installation with action install, and it will go. Istio is upgraded automatically, and it behaves properly. I did some tests, manual tests, and some automation tests. It looks like, at least on my cluster, it works stable. I had issue with application connector and the gateway. So gateway is refactored, and I got new IP address for the application connector gateway. So you need to change DNS name. So it is downtime because you need to change DNS and to change also some labels on the application gateway components. So
that would maybe be a cool thing for the future, that you could maybe update then the release notes somehow that there is an expected downtime, so that you can.
Yeah, I want to include that also in this release note. So that we spotted that today with this release candidate. I was testing that, and this is the input for the release notes. I'm sure that this will be in the release notes.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, so this is the first version of Kyma that is upgradable, and we knew that it will not be perfect. In the future releases, we want to avoid such situations. So that's why in the release theme for the 0.9 is more upgrade and backup tests. Yeah, so we will learn such things earlier when we introduce any change that will break some upgradability. So that's our goal, and next we hope. And actually, we wanted to have also some major refactorings before 1.0 release, because now we can do some backward incompatible changes which will require some manual intervention later on. We want to avoid that. Yeah, that's the goal. But it was the first question. You had more.
Yeah. The second one is, so we did some POC some weeks ago, and where we also did let's say heavy load testing on our Kyma cluster. And the thing is, we just used more or less the configuration of Istio and Kyma itself that is provided in this case. But the thing, we really faced some performance issues. So the use case was more or less to just have a bot deployed in the cluster, application bot, and we just tested, we tested several things, but in the end we just reduced it to just test the input and output of the bot itself. So more or less the number of requests per second the bot could handle. The thing was, when we fully activated Istio, so the sidecar and also going over the Istio ingress, we really had performance impacts. Like before it was 1,000 requests, and with before I mean with activated Istio sidecar, but without Istio ingress. So going via the plain Kubernetes Istio to the bot, we had, for example, 1,000 requests per second. But going with full Istio support, it decreased after some seconds to 200 requests, and also the response times itself decreased heavily. So we invested there, of course, some time, because the bots, the application bot itself, there was no load on it, so the bot was pretty okay. And we identified one thing, that there is a restriction on the Istio sidecar, a restriction regarding the virtual CPU power. It's 0.1, I think, so it's the limit of the side bot. We decreased this one. This helped us a lot. So at least the sidecar wasn't then a bottleneck anymore, but we're still facing issues when we go over the Istio ingress itself. And now the question would be, do you do any kind of load testings? Do you have any references? Are you, I don't know, aware from, because what I saw, that Istio had some issues in the past regarding performance. There were some let's say some issues there, but it shouldn't be there in the 1.0 version of Istio. And also the impact was about, I don't know, 5 to 10%, something you would expect from the whole infrastructure stuff and from the features you will get. But our impact was really, let's say.
By the way, how it behaves when it reached that CPU? You had the out of memory then as a result?
No. So
okay.
the bot itself, so regarding logs and all of the stuff, it was pretty okay. Sometimes the sidecar hits the limit, but not all the time. So
okay.
Let's say
okay, because okay, then it's not the case I thought, because in the version of Istio we have right now, it's a bit buggy about the memory consumption if we have a lot of sidecars. For example, if you will have 200 pods with sidecars, then they all of them will grow in memory consumption. And as I know, they also tackle that thing in the upcoming release 1.0.1. And right now we are in the phase to migrate to that Istio version. Then maybe, and about the CPU value, we probably just took it from their chart. that O.1, right? Then
no, I think this is overwritten in the Kyma config somewhere, because I checked the default Istio settings and there was, I think there was no restriction in it, and I just saw probably it was some optimization for the Minikube config. I don't know, but I found that within the I think there is some kind of Kyma Istio patch, and somewhere there the limits are overwritten. So I just
okay, and we downgraded it, as I understand.
Yes, as far as
okay, then maybe that was the case because we are running that locally, and Minikube has some restrictions for CPUs, and maybe that was a small mistake really to change it. Maybe it should be adjusted only for local, not from the cluster option.
Exactly. So the question would be if there is any plan to provide some kind of presets, let's say for local development, then for a dev cluster.
Yeah, it's already there, but I think this settings is there in the default settings by mistake. So if you can you fill a bug or even pull request to change that? We will be grateful. Yeah. So and let us know on the SIG core chat that you did it. So we will
adjust it, right?
Adjust it.
Yeah, I already prepared something, and but I wanted to also provide some detailed data on the request amount of frequency and this stuff. But when I tried it, and the last time it wasn't that bad anymore. But we really had this issue because we had back then we did a couple of hour load tests and tried everything around, and we had it all the time. But the last time when I wanted to get all the data, it wasn't that bad. So I need to reinvest there. So
but if you have any findings, please share with us, and we are really open for the contribution and even back if you cannot provide a solution, because this is you have your own use case. We probably have different set of tests, and if you found something, please share. Okay. We will do that as soon as possible. So
okay.
Good. Anything else, guys?
I took so many notes that my fingers hurt. Maybe that's enough for today.
So if anyone do not have any questions, then thank you very much for attending our SIG core meeting, and see you in the next one in 2 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.